Well, welcome to Fans Banter. It's international break. There's no Premiership this weekend. We're into the international football for a couple of days, well, a couple of weeks, isn't it? So we just thought we'd do a little news roundup of Liverpool stories that caught my eye over the last day or two. And the one that I am actually really interested in is the Chiesa story. So Chiesa hasn't made himself available for a selection for Italy for a while now, and he did actually make himself available, and he got called up, and he arrived at the Italian camp, and he had a chat with Gattuso, the Italian manager, and he told, from what I can make out, he told the Italian manager that he didn't feel that he was up to playing. Gattuso had a word with him, and he tried to convince him otherwise, but Chiesa was adamant that he wasn't available in the right state of mind to be able to play, so Gattuso sent him home. So I don't know what you make of that. There's been a couple of different various ideas of what has actually gone on. It's now being reported that he has a little injury, but why would you turn up with a little injury? Gattuso goes on to say that all players are not the same in the head, so I wonder if it's a mental thing with Chiesa now at this stage. And it probably calls into some of the questions over his season at Liverpool, to be quite honest, why he hasn't played more. Is it because Arne Slot didn't want him to play? Is it because Chiesa wasn't making himself to play, that he felt that he wasn't up to it? So I think that's a story that might grow legs, to be quite honest. And we'll have to see how Chiesa gets on for, well, I was going to say the remainder of the season, but I don't expect to see him play too much. But we'll have to see how his story develops over the summer to see if he moves on from Liverpool and how many teams are willing to pick him up. Because it's not a good visual, to be quite honest, turning up for football and saying you're not up to it and then just being sent home. And the manager obviously is a little bit confused over the whole thing, as much as I'm confused as well. So that's a little story that caught my eye about Chiesa over the last couple of days. Another one that caught my eye was PSG trying to pull the power strings, if you like, in French football, looking to get their top of the table clash postponed. There's only 1 point in at the top of the table there, and they wanted to have that put back. Yeah, they wanted to cancel it basically and move it on to another date. That's the phrase I'm looking for. They wanted to move it, but the other team are having none of it, to be quite honest. They've objected to it, and it looks like that PSG will have to play that game. And more power to the other team, Lens, for making sure that PSG are accountable for the fixtures that are set out in the French Football League. We can't have teams just turning up willy-nilly and playing football when they want and not playing football when they want. Lens said that it disrespected the French Football League and that made them look a bit ridiculous, that they should have to fulfill their fixture, and they're dead right. They should have to fulfill their fixture. It's like having a top-of-the-table clash between Arsenal and Man City, and both teams having a midweek game in the Champions League, and then them turning around saying, hey, we don't want to play that game, we want to be nice and fresh. Yeah, I guess it works different in French football. We'll have to wait and see, but it looks like they're not going to get their wishes. It looks like at the moment that the game is not going to be postponed, but there'll be a final decision on that on Thursday. So, will PSG get their way? Will they flex their muscles in the French football? We'll have to wait and see. We'll find out more on Thursday for a definite, I would imagine. So, another little story that caught my eye was Jurgen Klopp going to Real Madrid. He's rubbish the ideas. I knew it wouldn't happen. Jurgen Klopp says he has no intention. There's been no contact between Madrid and him. There's been no contact with Madrid and Klopp's agent, so it looks like it's just a nonsense story. I would hate to have seen that being a real thing, to be quite honest. I would hate to see Jurgen Klopp going to Madrid. Madrid, who really needs the pressure of Madrid? And anyway, if Arne Slot thinks that pressure at Liverpool is bad, oh my goodness, the pressure at Madrid must be colossal compared to what it is at Liverpool. You have to deal with the hierarchies of Madrid. You have to deal with all the ex-players sitting in the stand, giving their verdict on everything that you do. And then you have to deal with all those spoiled players from Madrid crying and moaning over every little thing. Yeah, I don't think that's a job for Klopp. I'm glad to see that he's rubbished it. But he did say that he's not finished yet. He's not quite out the pasture yet, that he may return to management. And the English Premiership, was it mentioned? Klopp said the only team he'd ever return to the English Premiership to manage would be Liverpool. He just wouldn't entertain the idea of going to another club in the Premiership. So But would he return to Liverpool? That's an interesting concept and a little interesting snippet that Jurgen Klopp put out, that he would possibly, if offered, return to Liverpool. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Jurgen Klopp looks a lot happier and fresher than he did when he was with Liverpool. I think the pressure of the way he was playing and the constant Klopp football had its wear and tear even on him. I think he's more likely to probably move into international management in a couple of years. Maybe he looks like nice and rested, and maybe he's getting a little itch to return to football. He still keeps himself involved in football with a few different things, but maybe the hustle and the bustle of the daily stuff he kind of misses a little bit. But international matches wouldn't be daily, would it? It'd be something that he could do possibly part-time. I know a lot of international managers don't work a hell of a lot, well, particularly the Irish international manager, but that's a different story. And anyway, Klopp for Germany. That would make things very interesting indeed. I'd say he'd make them possibly favourites for a European Championship, if not a World Cup. Yep, so Klopp, not quite finished, but not going to Madrid. All right, that's it from Fans Banter. Just a little news roundup because there's no Premiership stuff going on. So no matter where you are and your country is playing internationals, you enjoy them over the weekend. That's Fans Banter.